Now that President Trump's lawyer has confirmed he received briefings from Paul Manafort's lawyer, since Manafort has been working for the feds, questions are being raised, as they say, about the legality of those briefings. Our own Ken Delanian writes this, quote, some legal experts believe that the feeding of information by Manafort's lawyers to the Trump legal team could amount to obstruction of justice or witness tampering if Manafort disclosed confidential information or the president's side discussed the possibility of a pardon. But that would depend on exactly what was said. Former U.S. attorney and one of our legal analysts, Joyce Vance, added this, quote, once Manafort signed up to cooperate with prosecutors, the common interest he shared with Trump and others that let them shield their communications from prosecutors behind the attorney-client privilege evaporated. Any information that was shared after this point isn't protected by their joint defense agreement. She goes on to say, if I were Mueller, I would be issuing subpoenas today to Rudy Giuliani and Kevin Downing and anyone else involved in these communications, so they would have to explain under oath exactly what was conveyed. So, with us tonight, Richard Painter returns to the broadcast, veteran attorney and the former West Wing ethics lawyer in the Bush 43 White House. Richard, first of all, is Joyce right? And what about these lawyers? They're adults. They make car payments. They have mortgages. Shouldn't they know that now that Manafort is on Team USA, you can't be talking back and forth like this?
Well, absolutely, they should know that. And these lawyers better themselves hire some lawyers because they could be in deep trouble. First of all, you've got the obstruction of justice that's going on when the president dangles a pardon in return, presumably, for Manafort changing his testimony or changing his level of cooperation with Robert Mueller. That is obstruction of justice. The president has the power to grant a pardon at his own discretion, but he can't take a bribe to grant a pardon, and he cannot grant a pardon to a material witness in a criminal investigation in exchange for that witness changing his testimony or not cooperating with the prosecutors. That is obstruction of justice. Furthermore, if the lawyers were finding out information about the Mueller investigation, and Manafort's lawyers were doing that while pretending to cooperate with Robert Mueller and then conveying that information to Donald Trump's lawyers, that, again, is obstruction of justice. That is deceitful, and the lawyers themselves are going to be very, very hot water, and none of those communications are subject to the attorney-client privilege. They could be, Robert Mueller could get that information through the crime fraud exception to the privilege. There's no privilege for communications between an attorney and a client for purpose of committing a crime or fraud. And second, there's obviously no joint privilege once Manafort had agreed to cooperate with the government. Lying to Robert Mueller, trying this kind of stunt on Robert Mueller is a very, very bad idea. And it can land a lot of people in jail and possibly some lawyers in some very hot water.
Well, Richard, when you're home in Minnesota, people come up to you over the weekend at a cocktail party or a football game, and they ask you, just tell me something. Do you think Mueller has the goods? Do you think Mueller has the case? How do you answer?
It's pretty clear he's got the case, and most people I know in Minnesota are well aware that Robert Mueller's got the case. Just look at President Trump's Twitter feed today. He's tweeting out pictures of all of his political enemies behind bars saying, when are the treason trials going to begin? He is attacking Robert Mueller again on Twitter. Just today, President Trump threatened to declassify information in order to retaliate against the Democrats. So he is going to destroy our national security, make us vulnerable to our enemies by disclosing classified information simply in order to get retribution against his political enemies. This is a very dangerous man. That's the way he's behaving, and just about everybody I know is well aware of that. And what boggles people's mind is why Congress won't do anything. And I'll tell you the reason may be that Russia has hacked a bunch of the emails of members of Congress, including a lot of the Republicans. And so I don't know what Putin has on them. But this is a very dangerous situation for our country to have the president behaving this way and the Congress doing absolutely nothing about it.
Well, put it that way, and that'll scare the hell out of us as we try to go to bed on this Wednesday night. But Richard Painter, that's why we have you on the broadcast. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.